You were cranking 48 million in revenue, and then all of a sudden, one wrong signature, bam.
Correct.
Did you lose it all or most of it?
There is nobody that knows me doesn't shake their head and say, how in the hell did that happen to you?
Because the mob's after them.
Yeah.
You ratted. You should have shut your pie hole. Don't do crime with me. Okay? Right. Don't do any crime around me. Don't tell me about any crimes you've done. Because if I have to go to prison for your dumb, I'm telling on you.
Can I tell a little bit of a real story, but it's kind of gross?
Yeah, go ahead. What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, got a real treat for you. Brian Abbey's in the house. What's cracking?
What's going on, Brad?
Folks, you guys ever heard of a old school G from the Bronx? That's Brian Abbey.
Appreciate that.
Now, get up on that mic real close so they can hear you. And by the way, you can move it. It's nice and loose. Just get comfy.
I'm comfy.
See, this dude, by the way, if you guys know people from New York, emancipated himself at 15 and basically was a father by 18, then hustled into real estate and built a general contracting business that hit about 48 million in revenue. But ultimately, one signature, one deal cracked you right in the old onions. Yeah. I'm trying to think New York, but I ain't getting it quick
now.
enough.
I can educate people on it now. It took me a while.
Yeah. So basically, you were cranking, and then all of a sudden, one wrong signature, bam.
Correct.
Did you lose it all or most of it?
Most of it. And again, just to be personal, this is a great podcast. I lost more of my mindset. I don't think about the money. Never did. You know what I mean? Still don't. I don't think about the money that I lost or the assets. If I look back and on the regret, I regret that it let it get the best of me mentally. So I would say that money you could always make up, right? So I wish I would have overcome that faster.
So you mentally broke you.
Absolutely.
Why? It was one big deal. Made a mistake, but it was because you lost everything?
No, because when you say you take it personally, it really didn't have to do with me personally. If I was living alone, but it changed everybody else's around me, people that were with that company for 10, 12 years. I mean, I did go out of my way to get them jobs and stuff like that, but they invested in me. Right.
So you feel you let everybody down.
100%.
And why do you think you did? I mean, because you didn't read the contract?
Oh, why do I think that I signed it?
Yeah, like in other words, why do you think you let them down? Because you didn't get a lawyer? Because you read it and you were like arrogant? Like what do you think your problem was? If you could go back, what would you have done differently? Got a lawyer?
If I can go back, I would have said I would have gotten a lawyer. But again, the education that I learned, and we can go back and talk about it, what it was real briefly was I had a $750,000 line of credit with a bank. I'm not going to mention the banks because I don't want to start problems. And then another bank bought them. They didn't want contractors, so they want to undo the line of credit. I had $3 million in assets against a $750,000 line of credit. So I thought the document they asked me to sign was basically guarantee your assets against the $750,000 line of credit. So I signed it.
Yeah, why not?
That's not what I signed, right? So what I learned, the quick education was when I wanted to sell a property because I didn't pay my line of credit. So I was just going to sell a property and then pay it off and then not have to deal with that. The said bank wouldn't allow me to do that.
Because you didn't sign a collateral.
I gave them control over my assets, not just guaranteeing my asset. So so for the people out there that are not educated, I'll explain fractional lending to you is what hurt me. And I gave the bank perfect paper. So fractional lending is on the bank's books. If you have something in your checking account over 8 months, the bank can consider that an asset. So if you have an average balance of $100,000, the bank can borrow $1 million from the Fed. It's called fractional lending. So with my $3 million in assets on their books, and them now controlling my asset, they could leave it on their books. They were borrowing $30 million from the Fed while writing off the money that I wasn't paying them. I gave them what you call in bank terms, perfect paper. So we all know the stories of the inverse of that, where they were carrying balances in 2008 and 9 on mortgages that were upside down. So they were carrying a mortgage of $500,000 for an asset that was only worth $400,000. So what did they do? They made deals with people just giving up money so they can get it off their books so they can again borrow money from the Fed. My situation was the inverse. I gave them perfect paper. Does that make more sense now?
Sure.
Yeah. So that was the education that I learned very quickly. And then again, being a fighter, I just kept on fighting it every step of the way.
But eventually they took it.
Eventually they took it. Yep. Yep. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, You Are the Choices You Make, because that was my journey to say, hey, there is nobody to blame. You did this. And that therapeutically, that was one of the ways of working through that.
Well, let's talk about that, because again, the book, You Are the Choices You Make. Folks, I'd suggest everybody go get a copy, because that's the bottom line. You are the choices that you make at the end of the day. You know, I've been preaching that for like the last couple of years when it dawned on me, like it's really that simple. It's the choices that you're making. That's why you're fat. That's why you're broke. That's why you're losing. That's why you're in a miserable relationship. All the woes everybody wants to claim they have.
Correct.
They're choosing it and they don't even realize it. And that's the problem. They don't realize it.
You are choosing it. So that's the book, my Instagram page.
So you chose to get dicked.
Correct. Correct. Listen, it doesn't matter. Like, there was a guy.
Why did you want dicked?
There was a guy that worked for me, and I just happened to show up, and I saw that the curb elevations were off. I said, did you check it? He goes, no, the surveyor did it. And I'm like, okay, let's take out the transit and check it. And it was wrong. The first thing he goes into is blaming everybody else. I'm like, listen, fuck that. We're going to do this same bank, this same development 10 miles down the road, and I'm going to give you the same people. Is this going to happen again? No. Okay. Well, it was through your ignorance, your arrogance, your complacency. It's your fault, right? So did I choose to do that? No. Did I choose not to educate myself? Yes. So you deal with the consequences of that, period. Why did I lose myself? I affected other people's life, which is not fun.
But that's what hurts you the most, is you let everybody else down.
Correct.
And to you, that's a major thing.
Not now. Then it was.
Because they relied on you?
No, because in my head, I made a commitment to them. You know what I mean?
Where are they all at now?
That's why I said not now.
Where are they now?
They're all doing their own thing.
See, that's another thing you learn when you get older.
100%. Right.
You know, you fight, you're all loyal to everybody, and then you turn around and like they ain't even looking at you.
Yeah.
That's why when it's funny when people always worry about what everyone thinks. And like I always tell people, like, they're not thinking of you at all.
No.
You're so worried about what people are thinking about you, and they're not even thinking about you.
You know what? I would say that you're 100% right. But in my case, Brad, that's not the case for me. It's no one's going to expect more out of me than I expect out of myself. I expected more out of myself. I really wasn't worried about their expectations, right? And I've said this probably twice a month. I don't really care about how I look to people. I really do care about how they see, because how they see is how they're going to see me. The entrepreneur that's hiring me and the labor on the job, I'm still the same person, but they see me in a completely different way, and I'm conducting myself in the same manner. So I think a lot of people do care about what other people think about them. I don't know if it's age or if I was just wiser before my years, but that was never part of my lexicon to think about how people perceive me. It has nothing to do with me.
Especially because you were so meticulous with your profession. I mean, you know the cost of things, and don't you?
Yes.
Like you can streamline and organize things. Bang. Every penny's figured out.
That is my talent. Yeah. That is what my clients.
So I think that's why it also bothered you, is because, dude, how did I miss that?
There is nobody that knows me intimately that doesn't shake their head and say, how in the hell did that happen to you? But again, it was, I didn't even conceive that would be a play, right? I didn't even know about fractional lending at that point. If I would have known what fractional lending was, would I have signed something like that? No.
I probably still would have, because I would have just assumed it's collateral. And dude,
Yeah.
I still signed contracts without fully reading them like a dumbass, because I've never been really stung that bad.
Yeah. No.
But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of entrepreneurs right now. They'll get an agreement, they'll peruse it, they'll think they're a lawyer now.
Never
And they
sign a cross collateralized agreement. Period. There's other ways to get money. Lots of ways to get money. And again, not really understanding. Like I says, I was good in my lane. When I had to get outside of that lane, what I should have done, what I would recommend to anyone, anytime you're getting outside your lane, is really educate yourself. I didn't. Like I don't want to use the word innocent, because that's not, I don't think that would be accurate. Trusting where I shouldn't have would probably be, like to your point, why would you want to hold my assets? Because I didn't know about fractional lending at the time, right? If you would have told me that them controlling my assets and 4 million, I'm making up the numbers a little higher than that they would be benefiting every year while I'm hurting, I'd never sign that. I never signed that. Do you know what I mean? Never. It's like it wouldn't happen. But
So you were a GC at the time.
at the time I was a general contractor. Yeah.
And now you're a site conductor? What is the site
No,
development?
I'm a construction manager. So what I do for investors, clients, I'm partners with investors. Like it really goes, like what I'm doing in Texas now is Burning Red Commercial Development, which I own part of the company. The main investor was the guy that developed Midas's throughout the country. He's got like 90 of them. But he wanted to get into the car wash world, and that's the arena that I was in for the last 3 years. But what I basically do, I'll try to streamline it, is let's say Brad Lee was going to come out with Brad Lee's Burgers, right? You built 3, they were successful. You said, Brian, I want to scale this. Fine, Brad, tell me what areas you want to be in. Let's talk about the demographics. I then go get the realtors. I find the land or the available space. Then I'll do the pro forma of what it would cost to develop that. If all that's a go, then I hire the professionals, whether it's an engineer, an architect, or a civil engineer, get them on board. I'll handle the entitlement because I've been a building inspector. I've been a planning board chairman. I teach, I've taught project management to get the certification. But my real skill beyond leadership is estimating. It's not estimating, accurately predicting what everything's going to cost. And I keep up with it constantly. It's something I take a lot of pride in.
And by the way, like you've got something to train people on that. So if someone's listening who's a general contractor, who would want that training? Who would benefit?
Well, what's happening now in our industry is the general contractors stop being builders and they're risk managers, right? And I think clients are sort of getting tired of that. And it's really bleeding into the general contractors' profits because the guys are not properly trained on de novo sites, taking building sites out of the ground. And they really rely on subcontractors to do the work for them. But the subcontractors don't really have their best interests at heart. And that's why I say, like you say, conductor, you need the conductor that's going to play those instruments. So what I want to do with a company you're involved in, Lightspeed, is we're building a training module for project managers. And what the training module is going to do and system is going to integrate training on how to do a CPM, which is critical path method, which is a schedule, how to properly do algorithms for estimating so a project manager can dive into the plans, do takeoffs of walls and know what it's going to take. So I'm going to teach them the algorithms to know how to do that. So they can then take that information, create a more cohesive schedule, and build a vision that they could sell instead of relying on subcontractors to do that and stand up something better for an owner. So there'll be...
Or themselves.
So the owners will purchase it. They'll use it as a training module for their own company. But what's nice is the way you're doing it with me, is that they'll have the ability, the owner will have the ability to see if the employee is actually doing it. They'll have the availability to see how their employee is testing. So, I mean, even when I was a general contractor, I taught my project managers and superintendents 8 weeks on, 8 weeks off. Because if you're not training, you're losing. And I think the GCs that I talk to and the project managers that I'm exposed to, whether I'm teaching them or working with them, I hate to tell you, I don't think they know enough to be effective to stand up to an owner that they can represent their contract that they're engaging in. And all the clients that I work with that flock to me, and when I say flock to me, my favorite client is a guy that has worked with 5 or 6 different general contractors. I love that. That's my guy. I love that. You did? Great. When they get exposed to me and exposed to the measure of accountability, they cling to me like a buoy in an ocean. They're like, oh my God, this is great. I didn't know.
I got a lot of them following.
I didn't know it could be this good. And I don't think I'm that good. I just think that I hold myself accountable. I would never, why would you give me $6 million to develop your dealership in Houston? And I'm just telling you what everybody else did wrong. And I'm sure there's entrepreneurs listening to this that have dealt with contractors. Imagine giving somebody a $600,000 fee, all for him to tell you who's to blame. Imagine that. Like, that would never happen around me. Not just me. No one around me can do that. So, like, and it's in the book. There's a chapter in there by using words to reinforce your choices. When I'm involved in any project, I'm building the culture for that project, right? Everybody, from the city to the contractors we're working with, to the vendors that we're working with.
But this is what you do now, though, to be clear.
This is what I do now. So, it's my day job, and I'll never stop doing it. I love doing it.
Yeah, so if like people are listening, whether they're GCs or investors that want somebody like you do this right now. So if someone were to hit you up, you might do it for them.
Yes.
So
if I believed in the project and I believe in the ownership group.
Well, where do they reach out to you?
You can reach me at burningredbrands.com.
Yeah.
Right.
So the reason I say that is because like I'm always listening like a listener would be. And I'd be like, dude, I want this guy to be my builder, because there's a lot of scammers and shady. And, if you're making money, and a lot of times, they're just whacking you here and there, and they're just a little loose with your money. But, dude, everybody wants a guy like you to that's accountable and gets the most efficient, like it's your money.
Yeah. So the way I do it now is I don't do it as a GC. I represent you, right? Burning Red Commercial Development. What we do is we're not going to be your general contractor. We're going to be your conscience, right? So we're going to be the one working through the budget with you. You have eyes on everything. You're going to pay me a fee. So let's say it's a $6 million job.
Do you need a GC then?
I might hire a GC. That's something that we'll decide on together, or we might use just subcontractors and us coordinating them. But it really goes down to the budget and the time.
Yeah. So like I said, that's like a GC.
Correct. But it's a little bit different because there's no separation between me and the client.
Yeah.
Right.
You become the GC.
Correct. So
which is the only reason you hire a GC is because you don't know how to do all that shit.
Neither do they. And I'm just going to be very transparent. So even when I was in the car wash arena 2 years ago, we're giving guys contracts anywhere between $3 to $7 million. And I'm ashamed to say, and it's not me, but if somebody's not there to be a builder, and it wasn't these GCs, they were more committed to finding out who is to blame than to actually being proactive. So like I would hit the job site and I'd go, okay, where's the coordination drawing for what? There's lots of things that are going through this foundation that are not on the plans, right? Site lights in and out. You got site lights, but there's no conduit showing you that you're going to wire it. Like, you have to create your own drawing for your superintendent to know everything. You're not going to have to make holes in it afterwards. So there's just no systems in place with these guys. And what I do is I represent the owner. And so you would say, all right, well, paying somebody, a construction manager, $500,000, that's a lot of money. Is it? If I turn that over 2 months before you thought you did, and if you had a budget and I beat it by 800,000 and you had no money in change orders, what did I cost you? And how much would it cost you not to hire me? And that's really, if you spoke to my clients, they would say to you, and you say, oh, Brian's looking for a $400,000 fee. And they would laugh at you and go, okay, how much you think you should get in return for that? And he'll give it to you.
Well, it's like a good CPA. I don't care what they cost. If they're good, they don't cost, they make.
Correct.
Because you're going to pay more. Like, why would you rather give would you rather pay $2 million in taxes or give a good CPA $1 million? I'd rather just give the CPA $1 million. People are like, CPA for $1 million? That's crazy. I can get one better than that. Yeah, but that one that's cheaper might only end up getting me 400,000 back.
Sure. We had a client.
So what does it cost me for real?
We had a client last year that came to us with a budget for 3 spaces, right? And they were all de novo sites, 5,000 square foot out of the ground. And it was just under $4 million with their budgets that they were going to hire GCs. They had bids. They were ready to go. So we took it on and we kept the GC's numbers. And after paying us the $300,000 fee, they still saved $600,000. So how much do we cost, right? It's not, and it's really, I don't want to shit on a GC. I would just say that there are other avenues that an entrepreneur can go to build his building other than the conventional hiring the architect, hiring the engineers, hiring a GC, having someone that knows what they're doing, that can stand up dollars to the bank, write a pro forma, be able to explain it, be able to also integrate your own numbers as to how the operations and when that's going to be recapitalized, what the amortization schedule is, paying it off in 2, 3 years, 4 years, and putting that all together and just having that development conscious saves an entrepreneur that has another vision that doesn't want to handle that. It's a solution, right?
How'd you learn how to do all this?
To be honest, it was my vocation. So I was a cement mason in the local, and I was finishing on my knees, finishing concrete at 18 years old. But the engineers were trying to get a constant. When you build, you work off of benchmarks to keep elevations. But this particular building we were using as a benchmark was moving in a centrifugal manner. So me being proficient in math, I'm like, just go downstairs for lunch. Give me the instrument. I'll get you the constant. I'm like, you're going to do it? I'm like, sure. It's just math. It's calculus. I'll give you the constant. And that got the attention of a superintendent at Tishman, which is now AECOM. They were a $1 billion company, and he exposed me to plans. And I could just, like a 6-year-old that could play a piano, I could just play, Brad. So that was my vocation, right? There was no training. But I will say this, and I've said this when I teach class, once I knew that I had a talent for it, and what people don't do now, and I'd like to give you an anecdote, I didn't take a shit from 18 to 30 without having a book in my lap. Everything. So I wanted to study the engineering of site work. And
Only when you were taking a shit?
No, but I didn't waste any time is my point.
Got it.
Right. There was no time wasted. So if that was time sitting on the bowl, that was time I was going to read.
So you were reading the hell out of everything.
And reading enough that I could talk to engineers at their level and ascertain all the information that I can out of them so I can keep parlaying it and parlaying it and parlaying it.
Did you think in your mind that you were going to end up being able to do this, or was it like accidental that you just became this all-knowing oracle in the construction game?
There was no thought of that. To me, it was something I knew I was going to do, right? Because I had a talent for it. Why would you do anything and not want to be the best you can? Like, I'll give you an example. I was doing a $300 million casino in Arizona when I first came from New Jersey. and I was working with the guy who had a 3-year construction management degree. I had 3 project engineers. They all different levels after they graduated, after 4-year degree from ASU. And I'm like, so I said, what are you reading right now? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what are you learning for your craft? I got my degree. I'm like, dude, I'm working with you for 6 months now. You don't know shit. Like, you literally know nothing. You know how to read some testing. You know how to read a spec book, but you don't know how to apply anything that you've learned. And that is why I think for the American Builders Association, I was a very effective speaker, because I made people understand that there's way more to know, right? So I'm teaching guys making 120 to 140 a year. And they would say to me, Brian, you keep saying construction manager, but we're talking project management. And they said, what's the difference? And I'm like, about 200,000 a year. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. Guys, there's a whole nother level there. You got to raise your game. But they're just content. They know what they know.
It's like my camera dude. He went to school for like making movies. Like, well, I don't even know what the hell it's called. We'll ask him when he comes in here.
Okay.
But basically film and movies.
I don't
the other day, he didn't know how to do like the littlest thing. And I'm like, dude, you went to freaking school and got a damn degree?
I don't understand that mindset. And I hope I'm not sounding arrogant, because there's a part of me that is, and which I like to go into an anecdote of that. But I'm really humble that I found my vocation early in life. Man, that was lucky. Right.
So you're kind of like a savant in that manner.
I have many times I said I'm an idiot savant, and thank God I have my wife, because socially I'm an idiot. You know, she
I say I'm an idiot savant minus the savant.
Minus the savant. Yeah. No, I can't. I do work hard at it. Right. I never take it for granted. I never rest on my laurels. I'm always trying to get better and learn different ways. As much as I've been doing this for 37 years, you know, it's funny when we talk about arrogance. I don't know how you gel with corporate people, you know, straight line corporate.
Not that they're not my favorite, only because they're so straight laced and in a box. And like
Correct.
I always used to say, you know, you hear stuffed shirts. Those in academics for some reason.
That is correct. So I don't gel. And that's why I said, you said, would you work for somebody? It really depends on the client. Would I work for a big corporation? No, because one of the things is they can't appreciate me because they don't know what they don't know, sadly to say. And they don't know how to ask the right questions to lead, right? So if I ran around someone and they had a little bit of an edge to them, I'd want to know more about them, right? So the question is, if you're in 7th grade and you're sitting at a lunch table, you say to someone, you're arrogant. But when you're dealing with millions of dollars, you want to know why they're arrogant. And if you ask me that, I would be happy to answer. It's because I've fucked up so much and fixed every fuck I've ever made. I got so good at it, I started fixing other people's fuck ups. And since I put in the time, the energy, the effort, and got the results, why should I give that up? Just to make you a little bit comfortable for 5 minutes. No, I worked hard at it. That's why I'm arrogant. Not because I know everything. I know I can fix everything I fuck up. And you too. Whatever you fuck up, I'll fix it.
But that's called certainty and confidence, not arrogance.
They're giving me the nomenclature, but to me, it's not just to make an accusation and think that you can identify somebody by the adjective you give them that suits your own comfort. I would always want to know why. Even if somebody's angry on a job site, right? I'm not going to say you're a malcontent. I'm going to put my arm on. Come here. What's the matter? What's wrong? Right? Tell me why you're like this right now. That's next level leadership.
In the book you wrote, and I want to get back to this book because, again, the choices we make, more people need to learn this. There is a street principle that says, don't shit where you eat. What do you mean by that? So
if I have to guess, I'm going to say that line comes from the chapter in accountability, right? And just to talk about that chapter a little bit, what I'm trying to say in that chapter is if you're ever going to start making better choices, you have to go back and look at your previous choices. And if you don't hold yourself accountable, you'll never be able to move forward, right? Not shitting where you eat was just basically part of the mantra of the Bronx. There were two main things that were beaten into my head was don't shit where you eat so you don't shame your neighborhood and your family, right? Because the neighborhood is life. And the other was nobody truly cares. And when you realize that nobody truly cares, it's very liberating, and you don't try to posture and pose to people. So I was very fortunate to grow up in a neighborhood that I did under the culture that I did. It was an enclave. So as I appreciate it more as I get older. And I really started appreciating it, I would say, in my late 30s, early 40s, where I said, you know what? If I didn't grow up there and have those experiences and be around these types of people, I wouldn't have been able to have the emotional intelligence and the street intellect to deal with and be ahead of so many people, I should say.
You also have a script. What are you, a movie writer now?
No. Actually, I know that you're aware of the script because of the people that you work with, but the screenplay I wrote was from basically my son just hearing stories his whole life of things that happened in my youth or around my friends and family.
The neighborhood, you know.
Yeah. And he would go, that's a movie. So having written a book and getting a little bit of experience, what I did one day is I just wrote a treatise of 15 different things that happened to me. And then I wanted to blend that into a cohesive story. So naturally, everything in the screenplay happened, but not in the manner that it happened. And that screenplay is Streetwise. And the tagline is, everybody thinks they're street until they have to cross it. So it's about this guy who grows up with a nefarious family in a nefarious background, decides early on he doesn't want to go that route. And then as he goes and takes on a legitimate path, those two paths cross later in life, and how the main character negotiates the conflict. He constantly goes back to conversations and instances with his grandfather and his wisdom to help him navigate that conflict.
So he was using nefarious to deal with the legitimate.
Sometimes you have to meet people where they are.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, there's some good rules back in the nefarious worlds. You know, like you go to prison, there's some basic respect taught there that it would do well if it was taught out here in the land of the free.
In the book that
I sound like I was in prison or something.
No. In the book that you're holding, we don't have a lot of money in the Bronx. Respect was the currency.
Where was the movie Goodfellas? Where'd they grow up? No, not Goodfellas. Who, Colojo?
Bronx Tale.
Yeah, the Bronx Tale.
Right.
Yeah, that's about the Bronx.
That is about the Bronx.
Yeah.
So, and again, I was actually talking to Brian about this, who had actually never seen the movie, so we got to get on his ass about not seeing that movie, Bronx Tale. It's mentioned in the movie.
Dude, I got the guy that played Colojo coming on.
Do you? It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like when you see him, you're like, oh, you're Colojo. Like he still looks like a grown up version.
He looks
but he's not an actor. He's not like real famous, but like I still remember his ass.
I was just talking to my cousin Joe, who is in Arizona, and we were talking about why people from out east make such an impact out west. They're a little soft, right? And they don't really understand. They see the lexicon and the way we carry ourselves as arrogant. It's really not. I mean, it's so removed from that. It's actually really humbling because we realize that nobody cares. Can I tell a little bit of a real story, but it's kind of gross?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just talk about how nobody cares. I'm at a funeral with my grandfather. I'm 10, 11 years old. And he puts his arm around me. He's embracing the moment. He's like, everybody's sad, Brian. Yeah. You said, I'm like, yeah, Grandpa, I'm sad. It's like, see these people here? They're going home. They're going to fuck tonight. And then they're going to work tomorrow. You know why, Brian? Nobody cares. Everybody's got to live their life. So these moments pass. You know why? Because nobody cares. So that constantly got beat into my head. So what happens through going through that?
How did you grew up and just assume they're all going to go fuck?
Yeah.
No. Most married people are not fucking every night. Okay. Newlyweds, maybe.
I don't know where you're from.
Well, not out in the West.
There's not much to do in the Bronx, Brad.
Yeah.
Like we were eating mozzarella, prosciutto, and fucking. That's pretty much it.
Every night?
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to move to the Bronx.
Yeah. Or you need to marry an Italian woman.
Why? Is that what it was? The women?
It doesn't suck. But anyway, the point being is we're getting off of that. What happens is when you realize that there really is no ego, that no one's looking at you or caring about you, what you're wearing, what you're driving, all of that stupid shit, it's very liberating. All you got to do is stay in your lane and be authentic. So,
see, there's another bomb. See, I try to tell people that. They don't get it. Yeah. It is liberating.
It's very liberating.
Why do you think people worry so much about everybody else's opinions?
It's really hard for me to understand. And again, but I'm not saying that they shouldn't. It's the same thing as being jealous. I'm not a jealous person. My wife is a really beautiful woman. She's smoke show, right? It's not something that I can do. You can't fake it. I just don't feel threatened by it. Sure, look at my wife. That's great. We'll go talk to her.
That ain't what makes you jealous.
What makes you jealous? Like
when she is looking at someone else.
Well, then she wouldn't be my wife.
Yeah, but
so what's to be jealous about?
Well, then I mean why not?
It's a wasted emotion.
Well, because you'd be jealous.
I know, but to me, to be jealous is to worry about something that hasn't happened, and then if it did happen, then you just really suffered through it twice. So why not let it be what it is? So that's why, like, jealousy to me is not logical.
Well, I wish I felt that way because I get a little jealous, but not because you're looking at her. Like, that's cool. You can look at her all you want, because I'm the one that gets to bang her.
But what if somebody
if you have a possibility of banging her, now I'm jealous.
Really?
Well, yeah, like that's mine. What are you doing? And I'm not jealous of you. I'm jealous if she liked you. Like, for example,
right.
And
I can see what you're saying.
It's never happened to me, but
it's never happened to me that I've seen my wife taking an active interest in another man.
Or even act differently.
Or act differently.
Because listen, one time I have a buddy of mine. I go over to his house in the morning sometimes. You know, this was back in I don't know, long time ago. But he was a buddy of mine. And I'd go to his house in the mornings and we'd hang out in the garage. And I think we even smoked cigarettes back then. Smoked cigarettes, whatever. Sure. But we'd hang out in his garage and shoot the shit. And then sometimes I'd go over there early, right? Like 8 a.m. Well, every time I'd go over there, his girl would get up and come down and talk with us and joke with us. And she was in her little long T-shirt and panties. And
got it.
You know,
I got the scene.
Like for you know, I don't know, 4 or 5 times I went over there, and every time she'd come down and shoot the shit and whatnot. Well, one time I went over there and they were fighting about something. And he said, and he was yelling at her like, you know, fuck you. That's why every time Brad comes over in the morning, you get up. You never get up. Why when he comes over, all of a sudden you get up? And I'm sitting there all awkward, like
that's all.
And then she's like, I get up in the morning. No, you don't. Not unless he comes by. You're always in bed till 10:30. You know, he comes by, you hear his voice, you come down here. And of course I'm feeling weird. So I'm like, come on, bro. Like that's dumb. That ain't true. Anyway, long story short, they end up breaking up. Well, let's just say that she more than likely was coming down for a reason. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, that would make me jealous.
I can understand. I was actually talking to my son's wife yesterday. We were talking about, and we just got on jealousy. And I was like, I get it. Well, people would be. It's just not something that I don't have a proclivity towards that. Right. It just does. It would be hard.
So if your wife was like, you know, acting real odd around a certain individual,
Right.
it wouldn't bother you at all?
Yes.
You wouldn't be like, what are you doing?
No. See, I'm a different cat.
Huh?
I'm a different cat. I would.
Well, that's jealousy, Brian.
No. But here's the difference. I'm not going to fester about it. I'm just going to walk right up to her and him and go, "Why are you acting like that?" Like I'm.
And what if she says, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Because they never
Don't
admit
do that.
anything.
I know, of course. Right. There's no accountability.
They're not going to be like, well, because he's making me very they don't do that. They what they do is act like you're crazy.
Of course.
And 9 times
That's always the default.
Well, again, like I tell people all the time, your girl don't let you in her phone, dude. That's a big red flag.
I don't know if I would go through my.
Shit, I'll go through her phone in 5 seconds if I need to. Yeah, if you need to.
Yeah, Brad, let me tell you the type of guy I am. I'm married 37 years. If I need something from my wife's bag and she says it's in my bag, go get it. I won't do it. It's just something that's like, that's her personal space. I'll just go and bring her bag and give it to me. Again, I'm not writing a book on telling people how to be married, because when you're married 37 years, you have 3 or 4 different marriages if you're married that long. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not. So to dive in onto one thing, and anybody that's married that long can resonate with what I just said. It's not one marriage. You're constantly evolving.
Yeah, that's true. So let's get to the book real quick. Sure. You are the choices you make. I try to tell people, listen, it boils down to choices. I want to know in your mind, at what age did you realize it really does just boil down to choices?
I had to grow very young. Very young. So at a very early age, right? And then, like I said, we grow, and then sometimes you get away from it. Even though I was an emancipated youth and I was around bad people, I knew how not to put myself in a position to fail, right? So I didn't get in a car in the Bronx and drive with my friends when they had coke and Quaaludes and mescaline in the car and then drive out to Long Island. I'll take my car. Because you're the choices you make, right? The way my grandfather would say it, you swim with fish, you are a fish. So I didn't have that out to say, no, it wasn't me. It was my friends. Like, you have kids. You're not going to accept that, Brad. True?
True.
So I had to be aware of my choices at a very young age. Very young age. And, you know, it's funny. Like, my son just left here, and he's 33. I was getting on his ass at 23 years old. And I'm like, you know, you're graduates. You got to get your shit together. You got, you know, just how a dad would drive his son about, get your head out of your ass and go. He hits me with the next night. He goes, Dad, I was thinking about what you said last night. He goes, when you were 15, if you didn't work, you didn't eat. When you were 18, if you didn't work, we didn't eat. I said, what's your point, Brian? He's like, you never had choices. I have choices. I have to think things through. And as much as I hated what he said and how he said it, still to this day, it's 10 years later, I'm like, I just got a fucking point there. You know what I mean? I never really thought about at that time that I didn't really, I settled into, let me just say, the best thing to do for me, for young kids, if I'm talking to them, or entrepreneurs, or whatever's going on in your life, whenever my life got difficult, and life always gets difficult for everybody. No one's immune from life. I would just focus on one thing and drive it home. And for me, it's always been work. No one's going to outwork me, right? Life gets harder. I work harder. And I just, whatever it may be at that time, whether it's writing that book, right? I'm just going to dial in. I'm going to stay focused. So to me, I would say when life gets hard, minimize your choices, right? Because the ego wants to make you think, oh, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this, I could do that. That's your ego, right? And there's a chapter in that book called Ego versus Spirit, right? So when you're making those choices, I think it's very important to understand who's doing the talking in your head, right? Because, and a good way to measure that is, the ego measures everything. I'm not getting paid enough money. I'm not getting enough respect. I didn't get this. I didn't get that. That is your ego. The spirit is, I believe in this and I'm going to keep doing it until I meet it. And I'm not saying that clearly having a bad ego has a negative impact, and so does having spirit and not tapping into what's good about the ego is that little primal thing inside you that saves you from danger, right? The ego will do that, where spirit's like, let's go, we can do it. So I think that the book is a good quick synopsis to understand the quick conversations you're having in your head. It's not necessarily a self-help book, but it is definitely a book to re-engage your own self, your own experiences, to have a better conversation with yourself in the future and where your decisions lie inside your choices. And I think it was the first chapter I said, people are not even aware that they're making choices. They just go. And if you did it for 3 days and were cognizant of whether you're going to have a cup of coffee, what you're putting in it, like really diagnose every choice you make in those 3 days, you would be amazed how many choices you make in a 24-hour day, 72 hours.
And they're all somewhat small, inconsequential. And if you just get good at making good choices, for some reason, your life all of a sudden improves.
Well, here's the deal. They're not inconsequential, because what is consequential is you understanding you're making choices and continuing that conversation with yourself.
See? I told you you'd be preaching to the choir with me.
Yeah.
Because I think they're inconsequential choices, but lead up to big consequences if you don't understand it. But what you just said, again, brings it right back down to the bottom line, which is, folks, they're just choices. If you just get good at making them, life becomes completely different in a good way.
But none of it matters without accountability. And again,
well, you have to have accountability to make good choices, don't you?
You do. So when I was
and you're going to be held accountable one way or the other, dude. So there's always accountability. Prison
to you and
health
you and
problems,
but that
divorce.
word doesn't resonate, Brad. So like even when I was a general contractor, I didn't advertise sticks and bricks. I advertised accountability. Anybody could build. Anybody. Trillions get done without me. Trillions every year. Can you be accountable? And accountability, and I don't want to pick on women. Accountability is not dismissing somebody and going, all right, it's my fault. I get it. It's my fault. That's not accountability. Accountability is, I should have handled this better. I didn't handle this better. Knowing what I know now, I would have made a different decision, and I'm going to fix this moving forward. That's accountability, right? So if in business or the people that you work with don't hold yourself to that standard, whereas to say that they're the blame for everything, right? And when people say, well, it's not my fault. Really? You now have experience. We know how this ended up. You're telling me, we go back 3 days ago, a week ago, a month ago, the same thing's going to happen? No.
Not now that I know.
Oh, so it is your fault. If you don't embrace
How's
that,
it my fault if I don't know?
It is your fault because now you're experienced, and you would say, I would have done it differently. So that's the litmus test to me. That is the litmus test to the people that work around me. If you would have made a decision that was different a week ago, then it is your fault. We don't have to get into the causality as to why it's your fault. Maybe it was ignorance. Maybe it was arrogance. Maybe it was complacency.
Maybe it was an accident.
Maybe it was an accident. There's lots of reasons. But if you don't embrace the outcome, how are we going to actively together affect the future?
Be difficult. Wouldn't that be called personal accountability or personal responsibility?
Personal accountability.
Yeah.
But
you know, one time I Googled, if you were the devil, how would you stop someone from being successful? And and this was before you saw it on the internet. Like I started all that shit.
Did you?
I posted something and went viral, and now everybody's like, if you were the devil,
That's a great mind. See, a question like that, that's the shit I thrive on. If you asked me that, I would sit there and dive in and study. I've studied theology forever, but I'm anxious to hear your answer.
Well, as soon as AI came out, I'm like, okay, so this is supposedly all the knowledge in the world in a split second. Like, I want to know I got some questions. And one of them was, if you were the devil, how would you stop a dude from being successful? And there was 10 things. 1, I'd fill his mind with doubt and fear. 2, okay, I'd give him a victim mentality. And that's what you're talking about right there.
Right.
People have a victim mentality even though they're not aware of it, because it isn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. How is that my fault? The guy crashed into me. Well, again, if you trace it all the way back, did you decide to get in your car? Yeah. Okay. And then people will just refuse to say, no, it's just not my fault. And in reality, it technically is.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily your fault always, but it is your responsibility. That's why I always move that word to responsibility, because it wasn't my fault. I didn't know the guy was going to smash me. I didn't know it that day and that time I would have been smashed by a car. So how's that my fault? It was his fault. Well, maybe, but is it my responsibility? That it is.
Yeah.
So most people think there's an event, right? And then there's an outcome. When in reality,
it's cause and effect.
Well, but people, that's not necessarily how it works. There is an event, and then there is your response, and then there is the outcome. So the response is key there. There's an event that doesn't determine the outcome. Right. What determines the outcome? Your response to it. So like something could happen.
It's a great point.
And then I respond the way I do. And now it came out this way. It's not event outcome. It's event response outcome.
Step of the way. And I actually mentioned that there's a chapter in the book that says circumstances are what happens to you, consequences or what you choose to deal with those circumstances. So you're very much in control. And when you talk about the anti-victim mentality, I will say that with the progressive intellectuals that I have to deal with at times, I'll use your word, academics, they don't accept that there's no such thing as a victim. And so they'll look at me and say, well, you're cold-hearted and you're not understanding. I'm like, no, it's the opposite. I've seen what the victim mentality can do to someone. It becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy. So until you could show me the net benefit to the victim and their lives and the people around them, I'm staying where I am. I'm open, but I haven't had any intellectual, any academic be able to prove to me on any level that there's a net benefit to anyone with maintaining a victim mentality. Doesn't work. It becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy.
There's only one I can think of.
Go ahead. You're going to go savage here.
There's one victim benefit I can think of.
Go ahead.
Witness protection program. That's a benefit.
I don't know.
Get your ass out of danger, like especially in the mob. Like if you're in the witness protection program, you narked on somebody.
I would argue intellectually they don't see themselves as a victim. They see themselves as a victim because they got to evade jail.
What do you mean? They're a victim because the mob's after them.
Yeah, well, listen, that's in your head.
And by the way, why is the mob after you? Because you fucking ratted.
Right.
You bitch. You should have shut your pie hole.
But if you evaded jail, they see themselves as the victim because they're what the stalwart that they put out there, the platform that they want to hit is not going to jail. So to them, they're not the victim. They are the victor.
If you and a buddy robbed a bank and you got caught, would you tell on your buddy?
No.
If you and your buddy were walking down the street and your buddy robbed a bank and then you both were arrested, would you tell on your buddy?
No.
When would you tell on your buddy?
Never. Don't go by my answer. Go by the speed in which I answered.
Listen, you would never tell on your buddy?
No. No.
Oh, it's hilarious. Huh?
I've been there.
Listen, I always tell the truth. Here's the truth for me. Like I say, don't do crime with me. Okay. Right. Don't do any crime around me. Don't tell me about any crimes you've done.
Right.
Because if I have to go to prison for your dumb ass, I'm telling on you.
Right.
Now, if me and you did it together, I won't tell on you.
Right.
You know, if we got busted and I was involved, I'm not going to tell on you. So you come down with me because I got busted. I'm screwed. I'll leave you out of it. But if like I'm involved for something you did,
yeah,
I'm telling on you. Now, again, somebody say, oh, you're a rat. Hey, dude, I'm not going. I mean, I wouldn't tell on you if I was going to get my hand slapped. But if I'm going to prison for 20 years for something I didn't do and you did it,
it's good.
I'm telling on you, bro.
It's a good point.
So I just warn everybody.
I'm not going to argue and say that my way is right and your way is wrong. I think that as the older you get, you realize how stupid right and wrong is and where people lie. But for me, I would make better choices. I would never put myself in a position where I would have to make the decision, do I rat or go to jail? I've been making those decisions for most of my life.
Well, normally I'd say you never rat, never, ever, ever, ever rat. But again, if someone ratted to avoid 50 years in prison for something they didn't do, I wouldn't blame them. Again, if
you're asking me, not what everybody should do. You're asking me what I would do.
Yeah, you'd go to prison.
A different cloth, and they don't make this.
But you go to prison for 50 years.
I don't know, but I know this. I would be proactive enough never to put myself in that position. We're
playing hypothetical.
We're playing hypothetical.
Yeah, because I wouldn't be in that position either.
Yeah,
I don't hang around criminals.
Yeah, well, I didn't have a choice growing up.
But I mean, most people just lie and they go, oh yeah, I'd never tell. And as soon as they're freaking facing 20 years, they're telling. I'm just being truthful. I'll tell on you if I'm not involved and I'm getting drug into your bullshit. Like, dude, don't bring me into your bullshit.
I don't have an argument against you.
But I will say, if we all did some tricky shit and I'm the one busted and they said, you're going to prison for 50 years unless you tell me who those two other people were with you, I would not tell because you're not busted. See what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was involved. I'm a grown man. I agreed. And now fuck, my dumbass got myself busted.
I see the integrity of what you're applying on both sides, but you asked me not what should happen. What would you do?
Well, we're trying to get controversy. So people call me a rat and then other women will be like, what are you talking about? He won't rat. It's virality.
Again, I don't even give a shit what people think. You know, I had a heated discussion with his wife this weekend.
About what?
My son's wife. Just basic family stuff, right? But the bottom line is we go at it for 45 minutes, respectful, right? Sometimes raise voices. And hugged her later, right? Hugged her. And this is why I'm sharing this story, because it's a life lesson. It has nothing to do with my family life. And then I talked to her later on, a couple of days later, and she's like, hey, I just want you to know, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I'm like, Hannah, don't apologize. Don't apologize. You said what you wanted to say, when and how you want to say it. Here's the life lesson I want you to learn. We had a heated discussion for 45 minutes. You could turn around tomorrow without me knowing, and you could take things that I said, and I could do the same to you and spin it that you're an asshole and vice versa. So what you say and how you say it doesn't matter nearly as much as to how you feel about the person saying it. So what we do is we take snippets and we justify to validate our own shitty perceptions and our own shitty behaviors. So if you're aware of that, you're on your way to being a better person, and you're on your way to not giving a shit about what other people think. Because anybody could take any conversation and spin it into anything. It really what matters most is, what is your relationship with the people that you're talking to? Is it based on respect? Is it based on decency? Then you can feel free to be yourself, right? And when I'm building a culture in a development, right? My job site development, if I'm explaining a 2-year schedule and we're all sitting in a room and everybody's agreeing with me, Brad, and I'm a half hour into speaking, I'm stopping. There's no way you agree with me. Somebody has to think something other than me. I don't trust the echo chamber. Have you been around that echo chamber?
Yep.
How do you feel about it?
I try to like not be in those situations, but sometimes and it's my fault. people are afraid to say anything. And I always go, why are you afraid to say anything? And they're like, well, we don't want to get yelled at. And I'm like, I don't yell at people, first of all. Second of all, like, dude, say something. Like, dude, I want people to say something, but I also
sharpens iron.
But I also want someone to say something with a freaking reason and some damn common sense behind it. Don't say something just to say something. Don't say something just to oppose what it is I'm saying. Right. But if someone opposes what I'm saying or has a different opinion than what I have, I want that, as long as you bring it with some reasoning. Right. Like, don't just do it to do it. Like, what's your reason? Well, I don't know. I just, didn't like what you're saying. Well, that's stupid.
So there's an operator I work with over the last 4 years, and I learned a lot from him because he has a lot of my personality traits. And you will have some people that'll say, like, I'm scared to approach him. But what makes this guy a good operator is he elevated people, overseeing those managers that can meet him where he is, can speak his language, that are not afraid to speak their mind. And this guy, once he surrounded himself, because people are the most important thing, even though I think process is very important, but having the right people to work that process is important. What this guy would do is he would constantly push his people, like set metrics for a month, for a quarter. And because he had such cohesiveness with his team, they can establish pivot points. When are we going to recognize this is not going the way we thought it was and move? So what did that equate to after being around them for 3 years? Every quarter, Brad, all of his metrics went up, right? So, I mean, I always like to sit back and look, and, his name's Jason Dyer. These are guys that I'll always continue working with because just out of respect. But I think culture in business matters more than people want to acknowledge. I think language is more important than people want to acknowledge. So, for instance, I'm kind of difficult to communicate with, but once you learn how to use my words, I'm great. So, for instance, you couldn't come to me in the middle of a project and go, Brian, we got a problem. All right, what is the issue, Brad? Well, the problem is you're not listening. What's the issue? When people psychologically...
Brian, we have an issue.
Let's talk about it. Right?
See, the issue is a better choice of word.
Right. Because what's really, if you don't know what people are saying when they have a problem, when people say they have a problem, they mean there's a problem they don't want to deal with, and it's your issue. No, you want engagement, right? You want to keep people talking to you. When you're looking to milestones, you have sales milestones, and you go to a salesman, where are we? Well, we tried to. Trying is failure with honor, right? When he's waiting for his commission check and he goes, hey, Brad, where's my commission check? No, you don't understand. The computer was broken. I kept on pressing the enter button, but that's not important. As long as you know I tried, we're good, right? Of course it's not. So it's just a very disingenuous approach to communication. It's a bullshit surrender word. Don't say it to me. We're either in the process of doing it or we need to pivot. That's what I'm here for. Let's have a conversation. Telling me that you tried, what does that mean? You got to put your shoes on.
And not only that, but words matter.
They do matter. Oh, to me, once you set a vision and once you've made a choice that you're going to set down the goal and go down that road, the fastest way to get away from your goals or away from the choices and vision you made is not understanding the language that is necessary to keep everybody confined. It's not just your energy. It's the words that you use amongst each other.
Give me one example.
Please.
Problem versus opportunity. Because if you look at every problem as an opportunity, they really are opportunities. So like if someone comes up to you, hey, I got a problem. First thing in your mind is like, but if you have an opportunity, it's like, what is it? Right. Like you're leaning in. So like somebody walks up to somebody, hey, I got a problem. Hey, I got a problem. Hey, I got a problem. Now I'm in a hurry and this is a serious problem you might have. I'm in a hurry and you say for the 100th time, you got a problem. And I go, not now, dude. I'm busy. I got my own problems. Right. And I leave you hanging. When if you'd have just said, hey, Brad, I got an opportunity and I still had something to do, I'd have said, what you got? Opportunity? Huh? I'm listening. So words matter. Depends on how people react. Depends on what you tell yourself. Like words matter. But still, choices. That's what it boils down to. I say there's two things. You got heavenly energy, right? Mm-hmm. And then you got earthly energy. People say, what is that? I just made it up.
From the ego, but yes.
I
studied theology for years, but yeah.
Well, I just made it up with those words. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think I made up the philosophy, but the words is heavenly, because what would you expect energy to be in heaven? You know, everything's beautiful and lovely. And,
I have that in the book.
You know, it's kind and generous and sweet and, you know, courage and everything's great. Earthly, that's the anger and the fear and the doubt and the worry and the anxiety and the depression and the bad shit. So there's good shit and bad shit. I like to call it heavenly and earthly. Well, literally those are choices.
Yes.
I mean, they're 100% choices. So it's like you're walking around in a bad mood. Why are you choosing to be pissed? Oh, I'm not. This son of a bitch came in and he freaking did this. It's like, see what I mean? Like, dude, literally this son of a bitch is why you're mad. Yes. No. You're why you're mad. How do you figure he came in and did? Who chose to be pissed? Did he make you pissed?
That way? Yeah.
And do most people say, yeah, he made me pissed off when he came in here and did this? See what I'm saying? Like they don't realize they chose to be pissed.
See, but I'll share an interesting dichotomy, and I'm interested if when you put this on YouTube, if people will put it in the comments. My son has a very worldly view of me. Not that he thinks the world of me, but he's seen me in all different facets of life. When I'm working with you or I'm with a client, I am very measured. I'm very tactical, exactly what I want to do, how I want to do it. And if you said to me, Brian, why'd you say that? I'll give you the reason why I said it. In a very calm demeanor, like I'm being verbose and animated with you now. But when I'm at family, Brad, I'm never measured. You know what I mean? And now my son's getting all these intellectual. He's a dad. He's like, Dad, why can't you be the dad at work? Why can't you be the businessman at home? I don't want to be. I don't want to be measured. I just want to be me, right? So would someone be able to bother me at work? No. Could someone annoy me at home? Yeah, right. So I'm not saying what's right, but that exists too. Yeah. So we just have to acknowledge that.
Well, even for choices, like when I go home, my wife says, where do you want it? I'm like, dude, I don't care. Why? I just made 1.5 million choices. Like I kind of don't need to choose everything.
Right. I don't want to.
But it's still a choice.
It's still a choice.
You know, and I think when I read the title of your book, I'm like, dude, we're definitely talking about the book, even though, you know, you can teach GCs. You've got a training system. We should have been talking about more, but I think people learning
I'll come back when we have it online.
Well, it's coming soon. So folks, if you guys are listening, and by the time this drops, I mean, it might be a month, but by the time this drops, it might be close to done. All I'm saying is we should have been talking about the training system, but I think when people hear you and who you are, they're going to want the training even more so, or more importantly, screw the training. I just want to hire you. So obviously people can find you, people can hire you. This is what he does. He goes and literally, well, you heard what he said, partners with either investors or, you know, the person that,
right. If you'll give me a minute to talk about that. So let's say that you have a concept. One of the concepts we're developing in Texas is HTO. It's like a Starbucks for teas, but you don't necessarily have the capital, but you want to put up free. So we'll build it for you and then you rent it from us. Right. So what I'm doing
I want
now,
one of those.
Huh?
I want one of those.
An ACO?
Dude, believe it or not, my wife loves tea. I think tea is going to get big.
I can talk to you about it offline about the.
I mean, when you said it's Starbucks, but for tea, like,
correct.
Dude, there needs to be a tea place.
They have hot teas, cold teas. Like there's just a buffet line of different teas when you go in there.
And good teas, I bet.
Really good.
Really good. And I love tea. I drink iced tea. I drink hot tea. My wife drinks tea.
Right.
But I also like coffee. But dude, there's going to be, I'll bet you, a surge in tea. It's healthier than coffee.
It is. Again, everything changes every 10 years. Everything changes every 10 years. But when I say what we do, we're not just, we could be whatever you want. You want us to be the consultant? We could be the consultant. You want us to be the developer and the landlord? We can do that for you too. You want us to be the GC? And that sounds great. We're not out there for everybody. And it's really me. It's not just my partners. I need to believe in you. I need to know how to represent you. No different.
Yeah, in other words, you ain't taking everybody, but
No,
I'd still want everybody to apply that's interested.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to go follow this dude. It's at absolute truth _24. Why 24?
That was my football number. And then when he played football, he took 25.
Well, what's funny is that's the only time I've ever seen where an underscore works because it rhymes.
_24. I didn't realize they did. It does work.
But like anytime someone says, you know, it's Brad _Lee, I'm like, dude, why the underscore? Why wouldn't you just do Bradley 24?
Right.
But _24, that's almost more memorable. Yeah. Absolute truth _24.
But let me preface this. You can go there, but I started on Instagram maybe 7-8 years ago so I can communicate with my kids. Now I just use it for communicating with my cousin's family and political rants when I just think things have.
Well, people are going to blow up your DMs. People don't go to that. People don't go to websites much anymore. But what is your website?
The website is burningredbrands.com. Burningredbrands.com.
Yeah, burningredbrands.com. Book is You Are the Choices You Make. Brian Abbey. Where do they get this?
You can get it on Amazon.
Amazon. Do you have it in audio?
I don't have it on audio.
Come on, dude. With your voice?
I don't think I have. I think I have a face for radio and a voice.
Well, then it's even better for audio. It'd be like this. When I was originally inspired to write this book 7 years ago, I was 37.
Is it that raspy?
I was 37 years old.
That raspy?
No, I'm just going New York. But dude, I finally broke down and did my own book in audio. And of course you got to read it. It's better that way.
I'm 3 chapters in.
In audio?
No.
Yeah. See, my audio is better, I think, than the written because the person
download it online.
What do you mean?
So I just put in your book audio, download it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Spotify.
Then you can listen to it and you hear me reading it. And like when I was reading it, I realized they didn't edit it right.
You to read my book?
Did you hear me?
Yes.
When I read my book to do the audio, I realized they didn't edit it right. So in the audio, it actually makes more sense because I knew what I was trying to say, but it didn't come out that way.
The syntax and way you were saying
right.
it.
So I corrected it in the audio version, but if you read it, some people are like, what did he say? Well, that's because they literally there were missing pages. So it goes from one paragraph to another one, but there's a whole section missing. And that happened a couple times.
I just had a brilliant idea.
What?
Because now we have AI. I'll do an audio for my book, have John Madden read it.
You could, but if I were you, I would read it. But guys, go get the book. You can download it. You Are the Choices You Make. Brian Abbey. Everything in the book will boil down to something valuable you can get in life. And appreciate you coming in.
It's a pleasure.
I'll have you back when the VT's ready to rock, and we'll talk specifically about how, you know, GCs and PMs and everybody out there building shit can save more money, make more money. And the good news is AI is not going to take out, you know, building shit, because I don't see, you know,
too many variables.
It'll be leveraged in building shit, I'm sure, but it's not going to take out building shit.
No, too many variables.
There's going to be a lot of builders. Folks, as always, until next time, keep it real.